Hi there, everyone. It's March 9th, getting closer to spring, and I'm getting closer to finishing the new website. So I'm not going to be ready before registration for the Lightwork class. So we're going to do it this way. We've been doing it with Venmo, PayPal, or email. Just let me know you want to come, and then you can figure out which way works for you to pay. And again, if you're not familiar with it, it's a $45 class. At the spring class, at the equinox classes and the solstice classes, we also do a calibration with the cosmic gate that opens up these 4 times a year. And spring is the initiation of the infusion of yang energy, or the energy of action, and also balance into the new templates and energetic structures that were created they were initiated at the fall equinox, at nature's new year, then they are released at the winter solstice. The spring equinox is when they're infused with the vitality to bring them into form and give them life. So there's a lot that goes on at the equinoxes and the solstices. So we do a special calibration for that. So that will happen at class in addition to everything else that we do. So March 20th at 6:30, it's a half hour. I don't always do them at 6:30, but I'm doing it at 6:30 because the days are getting longer. And I think it makes it a little bit easier for people out west to attend because it's not as disruptive. Spring is officially 5:01 Eastern that morning. So the gate will have been open it's a 3-day window. So the middle of that 3-day window is when the precise time of it is. So we'll be past the precise time by like 11 hours, which is fine. And then, so we'll do the calibration, and I'm going to do as much as I can with the group to make sure you are really grounded. And I know I use the word grounded a lot. What grounding means is you have integrated the various energies and frequencies and structures in your bioenergetic system so that you can hold what's happening and maintain a coherent, fluid, breathing bioenergetic system. When you're integrated and grounded, you feel really good. And whenever we go through a shift, we lose that for a little while. And then there's a process that we go through to reestablish it. And it involves some release work. It involves the new energy having access to our system. There's several things. There's parts of our new bioenergetic system that have to function. There's parts of our existing bioenergetic system that have to extend or expand their functionality. So we're gonna do that in class, and I think people will feel a lot better because I'm hearing a lot of the same concerns and complaints. So when I keep having to remind everybody that this process that we're in is disruptive by nature, and we're at the point where it is the light has moved into the density of the body and the density of the third dimensional reality, which is dense form, and it's to change things. And so it's when this comes into the body, it's a much higher frequency than we're used to. So our system has to get used to it. And the natural physics of the process are, as soon as you bring something that's higher frequency into a system, it's going to necessitate some releasing. It's going to require it. So, and what's really cool about getting your energy system really organized and integrated is that it will go to the places that actually need support in your system. So places that you have old injuries, places where you are weak, places where you've inherited stuff just because it's happened in your family and you got to carry it for better or for worse. And then there's also areas that need new attention. So when the light is going into the body to integrate, it's going to bump into these areas. It's going to provide some healing assistance and also to make sure you release what needs to be released. So when we're in the middle of the process, meaning we lost the lights come into our system, we lost the coherence and stability that we had, and then your system is not found it again at the new level that it intends to find it. That is the state of disequilibrium. This is where you're going to feel tired because your electrical system can't function with the same like crispness, I guess, because it feels really crisp when it's working, like strong, clear energy. And you've got the friction of incoming and outgoing. Incoming, new, good, light, outgoing, old stuff. And the old stuff might be pretty uncomfortable because at the root of everything we have experienced is fear. And in many of the spiritual training traditions, I haven't studied them all, but I've studied a few. What you're really doing is getting, no matter what the pattern is, you have to sort of unravel it and get it down to the fear that's there. Even if it doesn't seem like it's about fear in the beginning, it's always about fear. So all these things have to be unraveled. And when you get to the fear, it's uncomfortable. And that's when you might have nightmares or have trouble sleeping or just feel really agitated and much more easily triggered by the outside world. Now, the outside reality is legitimately frightening, but we don't have to be in a state of fear to move through this time. What happens once you've been into this for a while, you'll really only be in fear when you need to be. Like there's actually something you need to act on right now, and you need fear to feed the system to make you move or make you take action, even if it's a decision. What we don't want is old fear clouding our capacity to determine which movement or which decision. So this is one of the many benefits of cleaning up your patterns in your system, because then you're capable of clarity in a moment that might be very triggering. So you have, the other thing is that to go through this time without being triggered all the time, you'll know that either, once you get your energy system really organized, you will know that either you've been triggered to get something old out of you, or you're being prompted based on what's happening in the moment to do something. So it's about being present and clear, or most of the time it's about being able and taking the time and the attention to support your system and resolving the trigger. And what I mean by that is, say if you get triggered in anger by something, and you're in anger or you're feeling anger, and then I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, I've just looked out the road. Okay, so say you're driving on the highway and somebody does something reckless and it makes you angry because there's road rage isn't a thing. So, but what really is if you and say you can't just come out of it, you get to your destination and you're still in a knot and angry. You've got to first address the anger, but understand that underneath that, it was the fear that person was doing something reckless that was going to harm you or take your life. So it's a survival fear underneath it. So you have to get to both. So that's unraveling a trigger, getting it down to the fear. So there's tons of examples. Life is always doing this. So, but you want to get it to the fear. So that's going on while this process while things are moving toward a state of integration and a new level of coherence. And what's one of the many reasons I encourage people to take a nap, even if it's only 20 minutes, because for a couple reasons. It allows your system to catch up and get you kind of out of resistance so you can release things. Also, we're doing so much work at night that we're not conscious of. It's dream time work to clean up this stuff and have our psyches sort of prepared for the changes that we're going through. That takes a lot of energy. And then people are also not sleeping well because there's so much going on at night. So even if you're sleeping, like there's nights I've slept well and I wake up and I'm like, what was I doing all night? I feel like I ran a marathon or something. I was working essentially at night. So there's a lot going on at night. If sleep's happening, it still might be not a restful sleep, and then you may not be sleeping well at all. You might be waking a lot. A lot of people are waking, and sometimes you can get back to sleep, and sometimes you can't. So then you still might, for many reasons in the afternoon, really benefit from just getting away from stimulation and allowing your system to catch up. It will make the rest of your day and evening go well, much better. You'll have the clarity, you can focus, you'll be able to execute, because when things start to get really out of sorts with people in their energy system, they lose the ability to focus and execute. And I'm seeing a lot of that, and I'm hearing a lot of that. So the biggest complaints right now are, I've had several people have used the two words together, crushing exhaustion. Like it hits just all at once at some point of the day. That's your system saying, I need all the energy that I have to do this energy piece of work. And so you need to sit down at least. So that is the crushing exhaustion. This has been going on with people for a while, and it goes in phases. So when I start to hear many people saying that, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people going through this particular phase right now. Even though theoretically and historically, the spring equinox would bring in something new, we're getting new stuff all the time. Like the way the electromagnetic field around the earth has been is that those openings would only happen it's actually 8 times a year because there's a midpoint between the 4 gates. So there's 8 gates, but there's the 2 equinoxes and the solstices are bigger than the other gates. So those were the time when the earth electromagnetics opened up and let in more cosmic energy to the earth. This is science. This is science and spirituality together. So, but now that we're going through this process, and it began a while ago, we're always being fed light that comes from different places. And so we're always adjusting now. And then the spring equinox does still bring in something new. So we're about to have something new happen, yet I'm seeing really new stuff happening in sessions that reminds me of what happens after spring. So we've got a lot going on kind of all the time now. The good thing about the spring is there's that old saying, the sap rises in the spring. So the same life force that the earth, but the revitalization of the earth that happens at the spring equinox when the yang energy, there's like a yang energy infusion. That is the kind of energy that pumps sap up through trees, which defies kind of gravity just by pushing it up and out. So that kind of energy starts coming into our bodies. So we will have more energy soon. And yet we will still be doing this process, but it should be an alleviation of the quote crushing exhaustion, or it may just happen, once a week or something. I'm hoping sleep gets better for people. I'm one of the people that sleep is it's a bit elusive. I never know when I'm going to sleep well. It's always a surprise. I would really like to sleep well every night. But I was sleeping really well during the winter. And then I think sometime in February when things started to speed up again, sleep went haywire. And I actually think expecting good sleep during some of these phases is just an unrealistic sort of hope or goal. Because actually, I was talking about this with some of the people who study with me, but the 3 acceleration months that if you've been listening to the Wave Reports, you already know about, which are April, which is right around the corner, and then August, and then December. Those are when we go through a big acceleration where it feels like the dial is getting turned up quite a bit. So the end of February into this first week of March felt like an acceleration month. Just like it. Same kind of pattern, same kind of presentation, same kind of complaints from people. So what that means is we have just a couple weeks before April and another acceleration begins. If we're staying on pattern, what I'm thinking is that we're now going, instead of having 3 a year, we might be on an every other month acceleration. I'll have to just keep watching it and see. But that's the situation so far. And it's not easy. The other thing I want to talk about in today's Wave Report before I sign off is the grounding change. Now, I talk about this in so many different places. I don't think I talked about this much in the Wave Report before. I did record a Wave Report a couple weeks ago, and I didn't release it. I just gave it to the students and people who study with me or people who come to class a lot. And the reason why is because sometimes the information is just really technical. Meaning you have to really get this and understand it to understand what I'm talking about, or it just sounds wacky or wackier. And then also, I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying. It's too easy. And then it can bleed into other stuff out there on the internet, which a lot of the stuff that people are talking about on the internet just looks like a bad game of operator where somebody got hold of something somebody was saying, it sounded good, and they're spreading it, and then someone adds their 2 cents, and it really loses accuracy, and it loses the energy, because that's how I listen to people and I'm like, there's no energy behind what they're talking about. It's just words. I like to stay really close to what's going on, finding the words that match it as closely as I can, keeping it as simple as possible, because I really want people to understand it. Even if it's not particularly seems exciting, if you understand it, that's way better than getting into this sort of more theoretical, fantastical, phenomenological space with this process, because it's understanding the nitty-gritty stuff that's going to get you through it, and how it's impacting your day and your body and your mind and your relationships and all of the things that help us keep our life together. So this grounding is a big deal. It's a big change. It ties to the motherboard change that came in. So think of the motherboard shifting. It was just a way to flag to me, so I would get it, that the grids around the earth went through a big upgrade November and December. And it's one of the reasons everything felt so weird. And now we are getting connected to that better. And it's well, I wouldn't say the new grounding is a good thing. Anytime there's an upgrade to our grounding, that is important, because that ensures that we're functioning and keeping our bioenergetic system like really grounded, especially with more electrical energy coming in, because if just understanding basic physics, if their grounding isn't there, the electrical is unstable, and we don't want that. Electrical energy is really powerful. You move electricity through an unstable appliance and you're going to get zapped, or something's going to happen. So same thing with the body. The friction of electrical coming in that is coming into an ungrounded system causes problems. So the grounding is good, always. But getting the grounding in can be tricky. So what this might look like is anything below the diaphragm, your weight, anything below the waist. The pelvic vortex, all the bones and the channels and vessels that work together to keep your pelvis stable and dynamic. These are things we never think about, because our body's doing so many extraordinary things without us ever having to think about it. But the fact that we're upright and our bones work all together and our muscles work together, and we have vessels and channels all working together to make sure we can do this. Within those structures are really potent structures like your dantian and your root chakra and your solar plexus chakra, and like so much power in the area below the diaphragm. So the changes to that are a big deal. So that what can happen, and what I'm seeing is that you could have pain anywhere below the diaphragm. Now, I'm not like abdominal pain, that's different, but I'm talking like hip pain. Your sacrum could get rotated and jammed. Your alignment and your pelvic bones could get skewed. You could have low back pain. Your entire legs might ache. Not all the time. It would be for like a couple hours, or like stretches of 20 minutes here and there. As your legs are getting used to something new, your legs could feel weak. You could notice they feel weak. Like if you work out regularly and you can't do your regular workout one day because your legs feel weak. They could feel heavy. You go to walk up a flight of stairs and it feels like Everest. Like, your legs just don't feel the same. You could have cramping. You could have, another thing about it, you could have all these things, and some of the things you might do to support yourself don't work as well. But I would say the most important thing is keeping the muscles all around the pelvis open and relaxed. So using the foam rollers, the tennis balls, any of the tools that people have to support and release tension in the back and pelvis and thighs as well. And also your feet. So you can roll your feet on tennis balls or There are some pretty inexpensive foot tools you can get for body work that are like cork or smaller that can really get into your arch. All of these things are going to help because it's a process. It's not like a one and done thing. I'm trying to think what else. Okay, now we're going to go into Jin Shin Jitsu, which I use often because it's so valuable and it's so simple. Sitting on your hands. So this is another thing you can do when you're really tired. All your circuits connect at your sit bones underneath your butt. So you can sit on your hands and recharge all your circuits. But it also creates it does give you some feedback about grounding and bringing your energy down. Because part of our energy is supposed to ascend and another part is supposed to descend. And we can get over ascended when we get stimulated. Culturally, we have way too much ascendant energy anyways. So we need to bring it down. Any kind of exercise is going to, well, not any, but anything that's not too much will bring you down. Walking, yoga, doing something, any of the like cardio machines can do it. Squats, and those things you can even think, there's a lot of things you can do at home so you don't have to, I'm trying to keep people from feeling like they have to spend a lot of money. I want people having really accessible things that they can do, and you can do them whenever, like in the middle of the night, or if you wake up early in the morning. But so that's why I like tennis balls, stretching, these kinds of things. And then Jinshin. Jinshin's you using your hands. So you always have access to your hands. And our hands are unbelievable tools when we learn how to use them. There's I think I mentioned this before, but the Jinshin book that where is it? Well, I'll put it somewhere. I think I said it in the last wave report. The reason why I can't remember the name of it is because I have so many books with similar names. It's like it's not Hands of Light, because I know that's Barbara Brennan's book. But, here it is. Yeah, The Touch of Healing by Alice Burmeister. That's a super user-friendly Jinshin book. So if you're interested, I would pick that up. And so just be mindful that that's going to be happening. If it's not happening already and you're going to be uncomfortable for a little bit, it won't last forever. You can always get in the bathtub with salts, things like that. And just stretch and just be mindful. So if you're already a little bit, like if your sacrum is rotated and jammed, which happens, be really careful what you do because you could get injured. So be a little bit more mindful with lifting and the kind of movement you do while this is going on. Okay, I think that's a wrap on the wave report for early March. I might do another one after the spring equinox. If there's a lot of activity that's new, which there could be, I will do one after the spring class. And I might release part of the spring lightwork class teaching segment too as a wave report if I feel like it's helpful and useful. Okay, everybody, happy almost spring. I hope to see you at the lightwork class.